Welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got a card tutorial for you using the Bloomin Heart's Thinlits. So this is the card we're going to do, and we're going to clear emboss the heart. I'm going to change the layout a little bit and also the colours that we've used. So in this one I've used Cherry Cobbler, Night of Navy and Calypso Coral to do the heart, and then it's just the cardstock I've used is basic black, Calypso Coral and shimmery white if you wanted to use those combinations. And also this new designer series paper is the Eastern Palace, which will be available from the 1st of June. So to get started, I'll just show you the Bloomin Heart's Thinlits that were used. So you've got this lovely big heart, and you've also got two little thinlits to cut out your little flowers to put on as well. It's very easy with the thinlits now. You should know, I've told you before, the combination of the sandwich you need to use to cut out the thinlits, but it's just the basic Stampin' Up plate, the new one, not the one with the tabs, the new one, and then the thin die adapter. Then you pop your precision plate on top of that, then your cardstock and your die, and then just one clear plate on top of that, and then you pop that straight through your big shot, and then you use your foam pad and your die brush just to get any little bits out that haven't popped out. And since we've been using those tools, it's just so much easier to cut those dies out. So for this card I'm going to do basic black as my base this time. So that's 11 inches long by 4 1/4 inches wide and scored at 5 1/2. Then I've already gone ahead and done the inside of the card. Now this little heart here, it's from the Bloomin Love Stamp Set, and I've used this heart here. So what I did was, before I adhered it to the card, I just stamped it off half, so only half the heart came onto the cardstock, and I did that on those two corners, just so it's not so blank looking inside the card. Okay, so that's the base card done. Now we want a piece of cardstock, and from that same designer series paper, Eastern Palace, I've got a piece of the gorgeous specialty paper, which I'm just going to adhere to that, so it's like about in the middle. And just pop a bit of multi-purpose glue on there. And I can see I've got a little bit of blob of glue, so I just grab my cotton bud and just spread it out a bit, so hopefully it's not gonna ooze out everywhere. So we want that to try and go into the middle as much as we can. So this front piece just measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches. It's just 1/4 of an inch smaller than the front of the base of the card. up to you. No, I think I'll have them going up that way. I'll just let a little bit of glue go on there, but that's all right. When that dries, if you can just rub it off, or you can just use your adhesive eraser. No, I don't think I'll do that. Just rub it off with a bit of tissue. And the heart's going to cover most of that anyway, so I'm not really fussed. So I just really love that specialty paper. It's just so effective on the Bermuda Bay colour. So we're just going to set that aside for a minute now. This is where we're going to colour our heart. So I'll just pop my glue away. So we're going to use some dabbers or daubers, whichever way you want to say it. So this time I'm going to use Bermuda Bay, Basic Black and Smoky Slate. So I'll bring in the Bermuda Bay first. So we're just going to put it wherever you want to put it. So I'm just going to put the Bermuda Bay on the small flowers. And maybe a little bit over to here. So you can see it's a very easy technique, and don't worry about the colours touching each other, because we're going to clear emboss this, which is going to bring up a really nice shine to the heart. So that's the Bermuda Bay. I might bring in a bit more. I'm just going to grab the Smoky Slate, and we're just going to dab into that, and this is going to bring it up just lovely. Like, just take it into the Bermuda Bay, it's going to bring it up like a real silver colour once we emboss it. I'm doing it on the big flowers mainly, and then we just want a bit down here so the colours are going into each other. And we're going to bring in a bit of black. You want plenty of ink on there. Doesn't hurt to put a little bit on the other colours, like directly on them, because it's just going to add more interest to how the colour turns out in the end. So then we'll just bring in some basic black. This is the Basic Black Archival ink. So it's not as bad as watching me sponge for hours, but it's just I'm just taking a bit over onto some parts of the smoky slate because I just felt there was a bit too much smoky slate there. Now we're going to bring the black, just bring it into there. And it's just a personal choice what colours you use and where you want to put it. And then I'm just going to do a little bit more of Bermuda Bay in the middle there. There's this. Bermuda Bay is such a beautiful, vibrant colour. And these colours will just really come up a lot more once we clear emboss it. So I think that'll do us for today, and we'll just pop our ink pads closed so I don't get inky fingers everywhere. Now I'm just going to bring in the clear embossing so you can see how that looks before we clear emboss it. So now I'm going to bring in, I've got a little tray that I use with my embossing powder, so it's just the Stampin' Up clear, the Stampin' Up clear embossing powder. But before we do that, we need to bring in our Versamark ink pad. So just the Versamark ink pad. You know, there, so you can see what I'm doing. So all I'm going to do is really saturate it. I want a really good wet covering of the Versamark ink. So you mightn't be able to see how wet that is, but just need to have a really good covering so that the powder sticks to that heart. I love this technique of clear embossing the colours because it just changes the outlook of the whole thing once we clear emboss it. So that's quite a good covering on there. Then just try not to get your fingers on it too much. And when I have the heat gun going, I will have to just have it running for a couple of seconds before I bring it over. That's to get it to so it can really heat up. So the embossing powder is just sticking to the Versamark ink on your heart. And it's a good idea to have it. I used to just do this on a piece of paper, and I just found it was so much better having a tray to heat emboss it. And all this powder that's in the tray, I will be putting that back into the jar afterwards, so there's no waste. You hardly use any actually once you've put it back into the jar. So I'll just move that out the way. Shut off a bit. So now I'm just going to heat emboss that, so be a little noisy, just let it heat up a couple of seconds. see it changing colour as it melts the embossing powder. So I hope you can see on camera how glossy that's come up now. It's quite glossy. So then what we need to do is bring in our front piece that we put the lovely paper on, and we're just going to glue that down like that. But before I do that, what I want to do is I'm just going to put some tear and tape on the back so that I can put some ribbon down both sides. So I'm just going to be putting some natural trim gold ribbon down the side. So I've just grabbed my tear and tape and just pop some down both sides. And some down the other side. So if the heart goes over the ribbon, it doesn't matter really. It's ideal to put your ribbon on first. So I'm just going to peel one off at a time so I don't accidentally put it down onto my grid paper. So I'm just going to have this lovely natural trim. It's called Natural Trim from Stampin' Up, and you can get it in gold and silver. So this one has the nice gold shimmer down the middle of the ribbon, and you can also get it in silver. So I put the tear and tape on the back, and then I just adhere it on the back and then I just wrap it round. I don't put any adhesive under my lace or ribbon when I'm applying it. It's a little bit crooked, so I'll just like that. So we'll snap that off, and then we'll just do exactly the same to the other side. So I might just adhere it to there first, pick it up and just try and have it as straight as possible before it's pretty straight before I stick it onto there. Now I'm not going to put a false knot through it like I do sometimes, because the heart is quite large and it's going to cover that whole piece like that. So we'll just bring out so that's quite dry now and pliable, so I can just straighten that out a bit. So I'll just use the multi-purpose glue, and hopefully it's going to stick to that designer series paper with no problems. Now I'm just putting it on the heart, the big flowers first, and then I'm just going to put a little bit, and I do mean a little bit. If you put too much on, you're going to have trouble getting it stick. The trick to it is just to have a little bit. So you mainly want to put it round the sides first. Sorry, I'm out of camera there. I do apologise for that. So I've put it on these big flowers first, and then I'm just going round. Just putting a dab on the leaves. So just try not to get too much glue on my hands because I don't want to transfer it to the card. And that's alright, we've got a bit too much on that leaf, but we'll just use the cotton bud to fix that little problem. I'll just spread that out a little bit because we don't want, once we put it down, we don't want it oozing out everywhere. Just notice there's another big blob there. And you can always just, if you're taking a bit off, just put it on the other parts. So hopefully we've got enough glue on there. So I'm just going to try and centre that as much as I can. Just going to very gently tap it down. Just take a little bit of the glue off there. So I'm just going to turn it over. Got a little bit of embossing powder there, so oops. Just pop my glue away. What I will do is just remove this piece and just like that, because did have a bit of embossing powder on there and I just don't want to transfer it onto the heart. So I'm just going to turn it over and gently rub it, and that's just going to help adhere it a little bit more. Like that. Then I'm going to grab my base card and I'm going to pop that on there first. Just make sure I've got it opening the right way, which I do. So we need to grab the glue again. So we just want to do a bit down the sides, a little bit in the middle. Don't want to have it that much down the side that it's going to ooze out everywhere. So we're just going to turn that over and try and put it on as straight as possible. So that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to turn it over and just rub it down. So it's coming together quite well. I just really love that technique. Now, as I showed you previously in the die, well, to start with, in the stamp set they have this banner. So I've stamped that before coming on camera. I've stamped that, and also my sentiment be mine inside that, and then I just fussy cut that out, so then you get that nice banner. And I just thought it'd be nice if we put it across there, like that. You could put, I think it's nicer. Okay, so just grab a couple of dimensionals. Just can't have them. Just move that out the way so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just putting dimensionals on there, but they have to fit snug. You don't want to be seeing the dimensionals once they're on the card. So you only really need about 3. So I'll bring our card back in, and I'm going to put it about there. So you've got your sentiment across there like that. And then what I want to do is I pre-cut some from the Thinlits, from the Bloomin Heart Thinlits, the flowers. So I've done those. So I'm just going to pop one of the big ones on each of those big flowers. So just a little bit of glue so it's tacky. And then I try and just line it up with the flower. So that one's perfect. Then we need one more. In my card before this, the original card, I did put these on with dimensionals, but I needed to slide that flower underneath the sentiment. So I'm just popping these on with a bit of multi-purpose liquid glue. Just like that. Then we've got 3 little flowers that we could pop up on dimensionals. Just not sure if the dimensionals are going to be too large. We might have to cut them. They might just, no, we're lucky, it's just going to fit. So we're just going to pop that one on there. So you get two size die flowers, which is good because they are meant to correspond with this heart thinlet, and they correspond very well. Then we're just going to pop that one on there, like that. And then just one more. Just on this flower here. Just on that flower there. And last of all, we just want to put some pearls onto in the middle of those flowers. So on the big ones, I'm using the largest pearl just with my tweezers. And then on the little ones, just the second size. I just find it easier to use a pair of tweezers, and it's really good with the Stampin' Up pearls because they all are adhesive, so you don't have to be fiddling around playing with glue. So that's our finished card. I hope you liked it. Come out a little bit. Now I'll just show you the difference in using the different colours and the different layouts. So need to go out a bit more. There we go. Just bring that down for you. There we go. So you can see it's quite different, and it's such a great technique to use, just using the different colours. It just makes such a difference. So I hope you enjoy that tutorial today, and I hope you'll give that technique a try. And I'd just like to thank you for being one of my subscribers on my channel, and until next time, happy crafting.